DreAllDay.com.
You are now tuned in to the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Then we put all this together into one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy. We wrote a book on the subject. We got a lot of stuff going on. You're listening to the Daily Masterclass. Let's focus on that for now. That is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. Today's topic is how to be coachable. How can you be a coachable individual? Now, this is a sister topic to episode number 1241, where I talked about a key growth principle is being coachable. Today, I'm going to share with you how you can actually be coachable. What are some of the things that you need to be doing and implementing and thinking about and remembering to be the most coachable individual you can be, which is going to help you get better. And I'm going to explain you how that is as we get into our points. So before I even get any further into the introduction, let me remind you that I have a text line where you can send me a text message and you can let me know what was the most valuable insight that you got from today's episode. So send me a text and let me know. Or if you have a question about anything that I talked about here today, or maybe there's an episode where I was talking about something you can't remember what it was, because we have damn near 2,000 of them here. So I would understand. I can help direct you. I'll probably be able to find it better than you would. My text number is 305-384-6894. There is a link and the number is down below in the description wherever you're listening to this. It is 305-384-6894. So again, today's topic is about being coachable for every player out there. If you happen to play sports, every client out there, if you have a coach, every subject, if you have somebody who's just helping you with something and they're guiding you along, even if they are a mentor, let's say, and you're not even paying this individual. Anybody who is being coached, if someone is giving you guidance and helping you along the way to get from where you are to where you want to go, today I'm going to share with you how you can best help them help you, which in turn will help them help you help yourself. Everybody follow that? Good. So let's get into it. Point number one, the topic once again is how to be coachable. Number one, know that you know nothing. This is the number one, most important. If I didn't give you anything else on this topic, this is the number one point of being coachable, is know that you know nothing. This is paraphrased from Socrates. There was a time, back in the day, way back in the day, when Socrates found out that many people believed him to be the wisest and the smartest man in all the land. He was just the wisest, smartest person in the world. And Socrates was very uncomfortable with having that title, because he's the type of person, he looked at himself and said, well, I feel like I know more than everybody else. I don't feel like I'm smarter than everybody else. So he went around and tried to find other people who were more wise than he. So he would go around to people and talk to them and ask them questions. And Socrates was very concerned with what he found when he went and started to vet these people who he thought might be smarter than him. And what he found was that all of these people who he thought would be good candidates to be put up front and say, hey, everybody, this guy's smarter than me, Socrates, what he found was all of these people had so many dogmatic beliefs. They were so entrenched with what they believed and what they thought, and that they were just 100% certain that what they believed and what they thought was accurate and correct and could not be challenged. And Socrates, the reason why that was a challenge for Socrates was because Socrates' whole approach to life was always that I don't know anything. His approach was, I know that I know nothing. And that was the key to his genius. The reason some people thought Socrates was a wise individual is not because he always had all the answers. We just talked about this a few days ago. Socrates asked questions. Any of you who is a coach, or any of you who has been coached, or maybe you just read about it, any of you have heard of the Socratic method? The Socratic method comes from Socrates. It's sourced from Socrates. The Socratic method is very simple. When someone comes to you with a challenge, instead of giving them the answers and telling them what they need to do, all you do is ask them questions. Okay, so what would you do in this situation? All right, how do you think you should handle that? What are some ideas that you have for addressing this challenge? Instead of answering the question and telling them what they need to do, which is what maybe many coaches think coaching is about, and maybe many subjects think coaching is about. I'm gonna hire a coach and they're just gonna give me all the answers and tell me everything I need to do. Maybe some coaches will do that, but the best coaches, I talked about this in the episode where I talked about asking the right questions. The best coaches are not people who want to give you all the answers. The best coaches are the ones who are going to help you ask the right questions. And this was we just did this, was episode number 1741, why asking the right question is more important than having the right answer. Just a few weeks ago we did that one. So if you haven't listened to that, make sure you go back and listen to episode 1741 as soon as possible when you're done with this one. So we're still on point number 1 here. The point is, know that you know nothing. Paraphrase from Socrates. Here's what I'm saying to you. We're out of the paraphrasing now. Do not get a coach if you feel like you know everything. Do not hire a coach if when the coach tells you to do something, you're going to say, well, I don't really want to do that. I really want to do this. Well, listen, don't hire a coach if that's how you're thinking. I remember when I worked at Bally Total Fitness. This is before I even got my first job playing pro basketball. There was a trainer there named Sean. Now, I wasn't a personal trainer. I was a membership salesperson. So I would sell memberships and we would sell training packages, and then the trainers would actually execute the training sessions. So me and Sean got cool, and I would talk to him all the time because he saw I was a ball player, and we would talk about stuff and what he was going to do, what I was going to do, and all that. And I remember once Sean had a personal training client at the gym who was a basketball player. This guy was like 6'6", thin. He looked like a basketball player when he walked in, but he hadn't spent a lot of time in the weight room. Maybe he spent a lot of time on the basketball court, but you can look at his body and see he hadn't done anything in the weight room. So Sean, I remember, had this kid in the gym, and he was taking him through a training session, and I saw him taking him through the session because the gym was this big boxy gym, so I could see them moving around. And after the session was over, I asked Sean, what was it like, training that basketball player? Or maybe he just brought it up to me because he knew I was a ball player. And I'm like, what was it like training that kid? And he was like, the kid didn't want to do anything. I tried to put him on the treadmill so we could work on his conditioning. He was like, no, I don't really want to do that. Then I tried to get him on the bench press so he could, maybe build up his upper body because he had very weak, frail-looking upper body. And the kid was like, no, I don't want to do that. He just wanted to do abs and do stuff to work on things that maybe he was already comfortable with. This is the wrong reason to hire a trainer. If you're in that mentality, do not hire a trainer. Do not hire a coach. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not hire a coach if you are going to reject anything or everything that the coach is proposing to you. All right, the reason you're hiring a coach, and I'm assuming that you have vetted this coach, all right? I'm assuming that this is a coach that you chose to get involved with. You chose to get involved with this person. Let them coach you. All right, they have the expertise. That's the reason that you're there. Let them coach you. All right, know that you know nothing. A simple key to being coachable, everybody, is being open-minded to the actual damn coaching. Open-minded. Doesn't mean everything the coach says is going to be 100% perfect, but you must be open-minded to at least trying it, to at least listening. To even if you ask a question with the purpose of learning about why the coach is telling you. Not the purpose of challenging, not the purpose of shooting it down, but again, like Socrates, who was known as the wisest man in all the land, he was wise because he asked questions, not because he had all the answers. So be quiet, generally speaking, and soak up game from your coaches. They have the game. That's why you're there. And learn from them. That's what they're there for. All right. Know that you know nothing. Point number 2. The topic once again today is how to be coachable. Number 2, listen and ask questions. Again, as I just explained, the Socratic method. What made Socrates wise was not the answers, but the questions. So you have to be willing to listen. So when the coach is just telling you things, even if you didn't ask anything, listen to what the coach is saying. Even if your coach is not that great, if you read between the lines of what the coach is saying, you can learn things. Now, if you're listening to the coach, or let's say even better, hearing the coach, because hearing is you recognizing sounds, but you're not really taking them in and processing them. If you're hearing the coach, but you're hearing it with your ego out in front, and it's all about what you think as opposed to what the coach thinks, then you're not going to get much from that situation. Neither is the coach. Nobody's going to gain anything. The only thing that happens is both of you pass time and nobody gets anything out of it. That's a lose-lose situation, both for you and for the coach. So be willing to listen when the coach is sharing things. Be open-minded to the fact that maybe there's a nugget of wisdom in there, even if you have to sift through a whole lot of nonsense from a certain coach, because not every coach is great. Trust me, I've had some coaches who were not great in the sports world. I've come across some coaches who were not great in the business world. And understand, they're not all great, but there may be a nugget of wisdom in there if you get good at listening. And listening is part of your communication skills, folks. Communication is not just about speaking and writing speeches and going in Clubhouse and talking all day, or writing books or doing a podcast. Communication, 50% of communication is listening. And understand something. The people who are known as the smartest, the people who are most liked by their friends, the people who are able to build rapport the most quick. If you ask anybody you know who has a big Rolodex of friends and contacts, these are people who listen more than they talk. When I'm in a conversation with another person, and anybody who knows me personally, who's worked with me personally, who has sat down with me personally can tell you, and it may be hard to understand because I'm on this show where I just get to talk, by myself the entire time. But I listen a lot more than I speak. I ask questions, open questions to get people talking, and I let them talk. And I listen. Now, I do speak at some points. I'll ask a question. Maybe I'll offer some information. But if you were to have an hour-long conversation with me and we just count how much you talk versus how much I talk, you're going to do most of the talking. And that's by design. Even if I'm coaching you. Because coaching is not just about, again, me just giving you all of my divine knowledge. That's not what coaching is about. And you being coached is not about somebody giving you all their knowledge. It's about them opening you up with the right question and you being a wise individual as you are. And me hiring a coach does not mean you're dumb or that you don't know anything. Hiring a coach means you're getting someone who can help guide you, and guiding you does not mean telling you everything you need to know or want to know. The best way for you to pay a coach, besides the money, is to use what they offer you. I mean, that's a novel concept, right? Just like I told you, my friend Sean, who's a personal trainer at the gym, this guy hired a personal trainer, gets a trainer, and then the trainer's telling him to do stuff he don't want to do it. A coach is there to help guide you. All right, that's the very reason the coach is there. So ask them what you want to know, and then soak up the knowledge that they share with you. This basketball player, ostensibly, I believe he got a trainer because he wanted to get in game shape for basketball. But then he only wanted to do what he wanted to do. He didn't want to get on any cardio machines, even though he wanted to get in game shape for basketball. He didn't want to work on his upper body. He just wanted to work on the parts of his body that he felt comfortable with, where he had a little bit of, maybe at least he felt like he was accomplished a little bit, because maybe he felt a little intimidated going into the weight room, the free weight pit with all these guys with big muscles. The best way to pay a coach, again, besides the actual money, is to use what they offer you. This helps the coach know that their stuff works because you're using it and we can apply it and we can see what happens. It helps you, since you have actually chosen this coach. Most of the time, our coaches are not foisted upon us. We choose the coach. Even if you're trying out for a basketball team or a football team, you know who the coach is, right? Before you try out. So you don't have to play for that team if you don't want to. And assuming that this coach is knowledgeable, it creates a success story at the end. You get the success. The coach they get to burnish their reputation because they have you as a success story / case study. This is a win-win-win situation. The coach gets to prove their stuff, you get the success, and both of you get to tell a story. I got a coach, look at my success. I got a client, look at his success or her success. It's a win-win-win situation all around if you're following these points. So the second one, you got to make sure you're listening, asking questions, and soaking up the game from the coach. That's the reason that they are there. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to be coachable. And yes, there is a formula to being coachable. Number 3, implement. What does implement mean? It means taking what is given to you and actually doing something with the information. How many people here have bought a book that you did not read the whole book? Studies show that most books that get purchased, about 20 to 25% of the book gets read. The rest of it does not get read. How many of you ever bought a book and didn't read the whole book? Don't lie. You know who you are, and you probably had those books sitting somewhere in the very room that you're in right now, knowing that you didn't read it. How many of you have signed up for a course and did not complete the course? You did not even consume all the material in the course. How many of you got a course and maybe you consumed all the material, but you did not implement anything in the course? You just listened to all of it, or you watched all of it, or you read all of it, but you didn't do anything with any of the material that was in the course. How many of you have done that? I know there are people listening to me right now who've done this. Implementation. How many of you have gone to any type of professional service, whether that's a personal trainer, a coach, a therapist, a psychiatrist, any person whose job is to give you some professional knowledge and information about things that you can do, and maybe you didn't want a long-term thing. You said, let me go to this person for maybe 3 or 4 sessions or 1 or 2 weeks and let them teach me what I need to know, and then I'll just take what they teach me and then I'll do it on my own after that. How many of you have ever done that? And now you don't do any of the stuff that person taught you. You did it while you were with them, but as soon as you stopped being around them, you stopped doing it. How many of you ever did that? I know I'm not talking to myself right now. For example, in January of this year, actually went back to December. My knee was giving me some trouble because I like to run. Now I don't play basketball anymore, but I like to run outside. My knee was giving me a little bit of trouble, and it was inevitable that it would eventually happen after all the years of playing basketball. Luckily, I didn't have any knee trouble when I was playing ball. But I went to a doctor. He told me a couple things. I didn't really like what he was saying. I reached out to my trainer, Maria. She wasn't in South Florida, but she talked to me about a few things. And then I remember this guy, Brian. And Brian he's basically a physical therapist. I think that's actually his professional title. I don't know, but I think that's what he is. And I had reached out to Brian way back, and it was almost 10 years ago I worked with Brian because I was having some lower back tightness. I don't know where it came from, and some sciatica. And if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like somebody turns out the lights in one of your legs, where I just wasn't getting any pop in my legs at all for a good, maybe about a month, around maybe 2011, 2012. And that was the last time I had really talked to Brian, but I remembered him when I had this situation because I went to an official doctor, I went to the hospital, all this stuff. They didn't really give me anything that made any sense to me. So I reached out to Brian and I told him what my situation was briefly in a message. He said, yeah, I can help you with that. I went to see Brian and I told him when I first got there, I said, look, I want you to show me some stuff and just give me a series of things that I can do on my own. And I'm going to pay you for this one session and then I'll just do the rest by myself. And Brian said, yeah, I know that you're an athlete. I know you can do this stuff on your own. So I'm going to just show you what to do. Brian showed me what to do, but it was one session. I paid him for the session. I filmed the entire session. I asked him, can I bring my camera? He said, sure. Brought my camera, filmed the entire session, wrote down, I went and watched the video afterwards, wrote down every exercise he had me do. And now I just do it on my own. Now that was, by the time you're listening to this, who knows, 2-3 months ago from when I actually saw Brian, but I follow those things on my own. I'm telling you all that not to impress you, but to impress upon you. When a coach gives you something, and a coach can be, again, a doctor, a physical therapist, a trainer, a teacher, whoever. It could be me right now. I could be a coach to you right now. If you're taking in this, what I'm giving you, not even charging you for, implement what you learn. This is the whole point of you taking it in. This show, I've said this many times, this show, Work on Your Game, this is not an entertainment show. Even though some things I say may be entertaining, even though I may tell a funny story here and there, the purpose of this show is for me to give you the game. And the purpose of me giving you the game is for you to do something with the game. All right, games need to be played. All right, and play is a verb. A verb is an action word, meaning do something. All right, implement what you learn. In episode number 1120, the title was How to Find a Great Coach. You know what the key is to having a great coach? It's having good players, or actually being a good coach, rather, let me back up, let me say that whole thing all over again. Nico, leave all that in there. Episode number 1120, the key to finding a great coach and the key to being a great coach is having great players. John Wooden, legendary UCLA basketball coach. They asked him, what's the key to being so great as a coach? He said, had the best players. And he was, again, tongue-in-cheek, but he was being serious. Any of you who is a coach, any of you who is any type of mentor or teacher, you know when you look your best? You look best when you have good subjects. A teacher looks like a great teacher when they have a classroom full of willing students who want to learn and want to do well. That same teacher will look very mediocre or even bad if they have a classroom full of students who don't want to learn, don't want to listen, can't sit down and shut up, have ADHD and can't pay attention. That teacher won't look so good because the students aren't willing to listen and willing to learn. The teacher could be teaching the exact same information the exact same way. The only thing that changes are the subjects. A personal trainer looks good when they have clients who are actually willing to hit the rehab the way that they're supposed to hit the rehab or the workouts. A coach, a business coach, a life coach looks good when they are very selective and wise in choosing the right clients. If you are a coach out there, a business coach, a life coach, a whatever coach. Yesterday I was in a clubhouse room with a guy who was a purpose coach. His thing is helping people find their purpose. If you accept clients just based on the dollar value that they're giving you, and those people are not willing to do the work, they're not willing to do the things that you offer them, you will not look very good as a coach. Why? Because you won't have any success stories. You have all these people you work with, but nobody who actually got the outcome that you wanted. So just because you're the one selling something doesn't mean you need to accept everybody's money. Because every dollar ain't a dollar. And any of you who sells things, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Especially those of you who are in service-based businesses, you probably have had some experiences with taking on clients because they offered you a certain amount of money. You're in business to make money, right? They offered you the money, you accepted it, but then when you started working with them, realized that it was probably not a good idea, despite the fact that they were paying you. Why? Because they're not willing to implement what you tell them. So the key to being a good coach is having good players. The best coaches have clients who actually want to get better, want to learn, and are willing to use what they're being taught. Bad coaches, sometimes a bad coach is actually bad at coaching. There are some coaches out there who are they just suck. But oftentimes, a bad coach just has shitty ingredients to work with. In other words, they have bad clients, they have bad players to work with, and that's why they look bad. just last week, from when I'm recording this, it wasn't even last week, it was this week, an NBA coach got fired. And maybe by the time you hear this, another coach then got fired. In the middle of seasons, especially in NBA basketball, it happens in basketball the most. Baseball happens often as well. When the team is doing really bad, they fire the coach because you can't fire the players, right? They have guaranteed contracts and all that. So they fire the coach. And it usually isn't the coach's fault. And the team that the coach got fired from, I'm like, well, this team is just a shitty team. They don't have a great roster. They don't have great leadership. Their best players don't give a full effort on both ends of the court. And this is just me looking at it as a basketball player. Like, any coach is going to look bad with this team. It's just a shitty mix of players. That same coach who looked terrible there will go get a job somewhere else later on in his career because he's a young guy, and he will flourish and he'll look good. Why? Because he chose the right situation. Steve Kerr, who's the coach of the Golden State Warriors, he came into his first head coaching job. Was that his first job? I think it was his first head coaching job. It was with the Golden State Warriors, and he goes and wins the championship. Now, is Steve Kerr just this amazing of a coach? Is he just the best coach ever in history? He comes right out the gate and wins 3 championships in 4 seasons. Is Steve Kerr really that good? Probably not. And Steve Kerr will probably tell you that himself. But Steve Kerr looked good because he had fucking Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and goddamn Kevin Durant on his team. Now, maybe I could have won the championship. Maybe I wouldn't have won the championship, but I at least would have got to the playoffs with those guys on my team. And I know nothing about coaching. I was letting my assistant coaches do all the work and took the credit for it. Bill Belichick, who is the head coach of the New England Patriots, at least as of this recording. His first head coaching job, he was the coach of the Cleveland Browns. Any of you who follow football knows this. Bill Belichick did not look good as the coach of the Cleveland Browns. His teams were not very successful. He did not win a lot of games. Bill Belichick was unceremoniously fired when he was coaching the Cleveland Browns and didn't look like that great of a coach. Then he went and got a job with the New England Patriots. They had much better ownership, much more stable organization. They drafted this guy named Tom Brady. They had just better overall players and better overall structure. Plus, Bill Belichick had gotten a little bit better, and now Bill Belichick is a legendary coach. Now, did he just get that much better between Cleveland and New England? Maybe he got a little bit better, but he wasn't that much better. He had good players. And again, any coach out there who's looking terrible, put them on a team with good players, they're going to look better. Pete Carroll, who's the coach of the Seattle Seahawks right now, he had a job coaching the New York Jets. He did not do very well there. He got fired from coaching the New York Jets, and people were like, Pete Carroll doesn't belong in the NFL. He shouldn't be coaching there. Get him out of there. Immediately, he went to coach the University of Southern California, USC, and USC became a powerhouse in college football for several years while Pete Carroll was there. Now, did Pete Carroll, again, did he all of a sudden go from being a terrible coach in New York to all of a sudden becoming an amazing coach in Los Angeles? No. You know what happened? He had the best players. And that's why he was winning so many damn games, because he had good players. Now, is he good? Yes. But he had the best players around him. Then he went to the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL, won a Super Bowl. Now again, did he just all of a sudden get better? No, he had good players on his team. This is the same thing that happens with all coaches. A lot of coaches won't tell you this. Most mentors won't tell you this. They want the credit for themselves, but this is an absolute truth. The best coaches have the best players, and the best players make coaches look good, even if the coach is not even that great. All that being said, let's recap today's class, which is how to be coachable. Again, make sure you listen to episode 1241. The title is The Key Growth Principle is Being Coachable. Today we're talking about how to actually do it. Number 1, know that you know nothing, just like Socrates. Wisest man in the land knew nothing. He admitted that he knew nothing, and that was his genius. Ask questions, use the Socratic method, and learn through asking questions, not through giving people information. Do not be dogmatic and think that you know something, especially if you have hired a coach. If you hired a coach, shut the hell up and listen to what the coach has to say. You hired him. All right, if you decide you don't want to listen to the coach anymore, fire the coach. But don't keep showing up to coaching and then bristle against everything the coach says. That doesn't make any sense. Point number 2, listen and ask questions. Or ask questions and listen, either way. A coach is there to help and guide you. So ask them what you want to know and soak up the knowledge that they share with you. Simple as that. The best way to pay a coach, besides actually writing a check and making that deposit, is to use what they actually offer you. This helps the coach know that their stuff works. It helps you, since you vetted and chose them and you get the results. And it creates a success story at the end. It's a win-win-win situation for everybody. Number 3, implement. I told you this in episode 1120 that the best coaches have the best players. That means players who? Subjects who? And I'm just using players as a metaphor here. Subjects who actually want to get better, want to learn, and want to use what they're taught. Bad coaches, sometimes they're actually bad coaches, but oftentimes a coach looks bad just because they have a bunch of shitty subjects and shitty players to work with. You give a quote-unquote bad coach some good players, all of a sudden they're a superstar. This is the way that it works in life. Again, most people won't tell you this, and that's why this show exists. So, all that being said, what you like best from this episode. What was the best insight that I gave you here today that really opened your eyes or reminded you of something that you forgot about? Send me a text, 305-384-6894. That's 305-384-6894. And if you have not yet claimed your free copy of my book, The Mirror of Motivation, is the self-guide to self-discipline is the subtitle of that book. If you're watching me on video, I'm holding it up on camera right now. Go to mirrorofmotivation.com. Again, that's mirrorofmotivation.com. The links are down below, no matter where you happen to be listening to me right now. Claim your free copy of the book and work on your game. Dre all day.